I found the image Shogun sent me in my cache folder. Excuse me. I found the image Shogun sent me in my cache folder. It was a JPEG numbered 168491. There was there was still a big part of me that didn't want to look at it. I mean, it was disgusting. If I looked at it, I was sure to remember the scene as it was in the real world. No, but if I was going to prove Yua wrong and prove my innocence, and that I was safe, I would need proof. Sierra-tan was there to help too. I couldn't handle a little gore. I worked up my courage and double-clicked on the file to open it. There it is. Ugh. Yeah, it was gory alright, but compared to what I'd seen in the real world, it wasn't that bad. And it was a fake too, right? I could handle it. The first time I'd looked at it, I'd only taken a quick glance before closing it. I hadn't looked at the whole image from top to bottom. This time, I was able to take a closer look, even if I had to suppress the urge to vomit. I didn't know how to tell if an image was fake. Did you look at the direction of the shadows, the background, things like that, and see if anything was wrong? It seemed to me the most likely possibility was that they'd taken a photo of the alley first, and then added in the staked corpse later. And then, the day after Shogun sent this to me, they'd carried out the murder just like in the photo. Because of the darkness and low resolution of the photo, I couldn't tell how much of the body, only the stakes, were clearly visible. Wait. Is it possible that Takumi isn't being framed because he was the one that actually did the murders? Because the girl, right, the girl that we saw, we don't know who that is. We don't have a name for her. Could that have been a delusion? Could Takumi have killed that guy? Because we know that Takumi is Samao Shogun. Let's continue, shall we? The light was focused on the area surrounding the corpse, as if that was the only thing they wanted the viewer to see. It felt like whoever had taken the picture had framed it like that deliberately. There was no way the light shining right on the body and nowhere else was a coincidence. Or maybe it was a coincidence. I hadn't gotten a clear look at the scene when I was there for real, so I couldn't say for sure. The demon girl wasn't in the picture. But if you stared at the picture until you thought your eyes would bleed, you could make out what looked like a person in the darkness on the left edge. I almost missed it. Between the low resolution and how they were standing in the shadows, they were almost impossible to spot on my first glance. I missed them completely. Hold on, I'm trying to look. Okay, the left edge. So, is this them? Is this them? I'm trying to circle it. Huh. This was a doctored photo, or it should have been. So maybe the person who took it let themselves get photographed by accident, and forgot to delete it when they added in the corpse. They were wearing a Sume uniform. It must have been that demon girl then. She wore one too. But the person in the photo seemed to have short hair. The demon girl had long hair, so did Yua. I decided to use the image processing software to make it easier to see. I booted up the software and dragged the image on top of it. Then I gulped before going to the level adjustment slider in the menu. I made the photo brighter and... Huh? Yeah, Takumi, I'm thinking it was you. Like, I'm not sure how or why, but I'm thinking it was you. Huh? What is this? Huh?
なんだこれ
Huh? 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 What's going on here? Oh, Back. There you go. The person in the photo. The person in the photo was, without question,
僕だ
me? Why me? This made no sense. I'd never been there until September 29th. This was all fake too, it had to be. I couldn't find any evidence of that at all, but it was definitely fake. It had to be. Shogun had sent it to me on the 28th, and the Crucified King had happened on the 29th. Killing it. Not king, killing happened on the 29th. If this photo showed me what happened on the 29th, it would be a photo of the future.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
Can you see the future?
うるさいそんなはずはないんだ
Shut up! That's impossible! You know, I just thought of something. What if every time, right, we get the whose eyes are those and quote unquote God's gaze following one of our characters? What if that is Takumi looking at them from the future? Or someone looking at them to the future or from the future? I mean, would that make sense? Okay, well, let's continue then. I kicked an empty plastic bottle at my feet and shut down the image program. I opened up the properties menu to see when this JPEG file was created, and then I gasped. It had been created on the 28th, but that didn't matter now. There was something written in the comments section of the properties window. That's what my eyes were glued to. Whose eyes are those? Ugh. I slammed my fingers down on the keyboard before pressing it to the side of the desk and cradling my head in my hands.
セーラ助けて
Sarah, help me. I tried to stop myself from crying. What the hell had been going on this whole week? Why is all of this happening to me? Wait a second. Say Shogun had gotten a photo of me from somewhere and used it to put me into this Guro photo. That would mean they'd either taken the photo of me themselves, well before the murder, or gotten a photo of me from some other place. Given that they'd come into the chat room out of nowhere and started talking as soon as Grim left, they were after me from the start. Maybe Shogun knew who I was then. If he did, there was no telling when he or the demon girl would attack the base, and then they'd kidnap me. I felt the prickling on the back of my neck, that gaze again. I was being watched by someone. Don't look at me. I refused to look behind me. Time for the I'm not turning around so easily game. I was shaking with terror. I wanted to go check the lock on the door, but if I looked around I'd lose. I stubbornly stared at the monitor instead. To calm myself, I opened up a word processor program and typed the thoughts that came to me. Demon girl equals murderer can see the future. Shogun working for the demon girl. Yua working for Shogun. Okay, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, that has to be it. As I started quivering at the word demon, I started to wonder if the girl I'd seen at the murder scene really was one. Yeah, she wasn't human. That had to be it. Maybe that's how she was able to see the future. Her demon powers would let her create a photo of what was going to happen. That would explain how she could do that terrible crucified murder all by herself, too. And Shogun worked for her. They knew I was going to witness the crime by accident, so they sent me the image in advance. I didn't know why. Maybe it was a threat. If you tell anyone, this is what will happen to you next. Or maybe it was a warning. A death sentence, telling me that I'd be next. If that was the case,
勝てるわけがない
I can't beat them.
僕は奴らにいつ殺されてもおかしくないんだ
They could kill me anytime they wanted to. Yua Kusunoki was staring at the computer in her room. She had a serious look on her face, and she was quickly reading through the information on her screen. Eventually, she let out a small sigh and took her hand off the mouse before looking over at the piece of paper in front of her. It was a printout of the chat log between Shogun and Nightheart, the same as the one she'd shown to Takumi Nishijo yesterday.
西条くん
Nishijo. She whispered his name. Images of him sitting alone on the bench in Shoto Park came back to her. She shook her head as if trying to drive them away. And then suddenly she gasped and turned around.
今誰かに見られていたような
It felt like somebody was watching me. Okay, so multiple people have seen the gaze of God. Or quote-unquote God, I guess, as Takumi said. Her own gaze was locked onto the big Jero Froggy plush that lay on her bed. It must have been in her imagination, she decided. She stood up and walked over to the bed and fell onto it face first. The sheets smelled like a sunny day. Her mom must have dried them outside this afternoon. As she buried her face in the pleasant scent, she looked around the room. Her room was kept neat and clean, a sign of her slightly obsessive personality. The largest object in the room was a huge bookshelf, packed tight from corner to corner with books. What made it kind of cute was the bottom was stuffed with complicated technical and computer books, but the top was filled with shoujo manga and anime DVDs. She let out another sigh and looked up at the ceiling.
DID
Dissociative identity disorder. Alright. Dissociative identity disorder, aka multiple personalities. I think this is the outdated term for it, but yeah, okay. A state where one person has multiple different personalities inside them. Here, personality is defined as a conscious state of being aware of oneself and one's surroundings, with the ability to think and act. In other words, humans construct a self by being aware of continuous time and the consistency of their actions and surroundings. People with this disorder switch personalities without warning, with psychological/social stress and environmental factors commonly serving as triggers. A characteristic of the disorder is that sufferers are rarely aware of the memories created when the other personality was in charge. The disorder manifests at an early age, but is sometimes not discovered clinically. Once it occurs, it often becomes chronic, and childhood abuse or trauma are often seen in advance of developing the disorder. The term multiple personality disorder is an older term used in the 1980 DSM-3, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, produced by the American Psychiatric Association. The 1994 DM-4 version, as well as later editions, do not use the term. Okay. Frankly, I didn't know about the books here, but yeah, okay. Dissociative identity disorder from the fuck. Wiki. The Encyclopedia of Useless Knowledge. Okay, so why are we bringing up pedophilia? Why is that there? Anyways. Dissociative identity disorder, okay, aka multiple personalities, a state where one person has multiple different personalities inside of them, with personalities being defined as a continuous state of being aware of oneself and one's surroundings, with the ability to think and act. In other words, humans construct a self by being aware of continuous time and the consistency of their actions and the information they receive. People with this disorder switch personalities without warning, with psychological/social stress and environmental factors serving as triggers. Actually, yeah, I think this is straight up in the tips manual, so I'm not going to read that. She whispered the name of the mental health condition she's been researching. She had an explanation of it pulled up on the monitor.
辛いんですね
It's painful, isn't it? Okay, is she researching herself, or is she researching what could be happening to Takumi? She gave the stuffed Gero Froggy on her lap a tight squeeze and thought about
で
Takumi.
も私
But I... And then her expression went blank. She gritted her teeth hard. Huh. It hurt to breathe. All it was doing... It hurt to breathe. All it was doing was looking up some stuff on the computer, but I could feel my heart pounding far faster than normal. The sensation that something was watching me just wouldn't go away. I was still restraining the urge to turn around, but I wouldn't be able to do it much longer.
なんなんだよお前はコソコソしやがって
Who the hell are you? Stop sneaking around my damn room. I yelled at the something. Was the something the demon girl? No way, right? Was she watching me with some kind of demonic psychic power like clairvoyance? I mean, I wouldn't call clairvoyance a demonic power, but, you know, let's look what that is, shall we? Clairvoyance, so-called far-seeing, the ability to see what's happening in a location where you aren't physically present. A clairvoyant person can see things that would normally be impossible to observe, either due to distance, the viewing angle, or the presence of obstructions. The prickling on my neck only got more intense. It was turning into a sensation like a faint electric shock. Okay, I'm going to like drink something real quick. I'm feeling parched. I'm feeling pretty dry. Got some water. Water. The prickling onto my neck only... Yeah, I already read this. I was starting to see sweat. Why did I add C? I was starting to sweat hard. My t-shirt was soaked. Damn it! Finally, I gave in and turned around, but all I saw was my room. Nothing unusual at
なん
all.
でいないんだよ誰なんだ
Why aren't you there? Who are you? I let out a scream, then stood up to make sure the door was locked. When I saw that it was, I felt a little better. I wiped the sweat off my brow with the bottom of my shirt. Then I went back to my PC and stared at the monitor again. I'd been reading up on about how psychics could supposedly see the future. Future sight and... Okay, why do they call... Wait a second. Wiki... I think it may be a play on something. And they're making fun of wikis and their propensity to not hire, but their propensity to have a lot of their mods be perverts. I get it. I get it now. I get it. All right, future sight. Actually, I think I've already read this. Actually, no, I haven't. Future sight. The ability to see the future before it happens. This is distinct from the ability to predict the future, where one lays out what they think will happen based off information they have at hand. There's no scientific proof that it's possible to see the future. Different people manifest this ability in different ways. Some see the future in the form of flashbacks, and others see it in prophetic dreams. Psychics, fortune tellers, and ancient prophets are all said to possess this ability, but con artists often claim to have it as well. So yeah, that was literally from the tip menu. I remember reading that. Either last night or this morning. Either way. When I was a kid, I was absolutely sure that powers like that existed. To be honest, I still kind of believed it. That was the reason. I immediately thought that the the demon girl in Shogun sent was from the future, and why I'd felt I had to look it up. Maybe There were maybe there were psychics who could see the future everywhere and I just didn't know it. I'd done something kind of similar when I was a kid with the bus accident, so I couldn't be sure it was impossible, right? But the more I looked into it, though, the more it all seemed like a bunch of bullshit, either occult stuff or magic tricks. There wasn't any scientific proof that they existed, but there was no proof that they didn't exist either.
一つぐらいあってもいいだろう。
You would think there'd be at least one solid lead. I got even more annoyed and slammed my fingers down on the keys. The fact that everything was so vague made me feel scared and uneasy. Was I supposed to keep waiting, spending every day in fear of a demon who might never come, might not ever come, blah 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 blah. My mind couldn't handle that. Of course, what I wanted was proof that it was impossible to see the future. But either way, I wanted a solid answer. My last hope was at Chan's occult board. That place was filled with useless trash, lies and fakes, but sometimes there was amazing info just lying there. I opened the page for @channel, trying to stay calm. I went to the occult board and ran a search for Future Sight. And then... Future Sight and Prophecies, Phantasm General, New Gen 43, parentheses 83, Half-Assed Prophecies About Japan's Future, Part 6, parentheses 182, Number of Guys Who Want FES, the Psychic Princess to Step on Them, parentheses 967. Savior, talking about FES's prophecies, Phantasm, parentheses 277. Bull, Phantasm Haters Thread, 11. Shit. 431. What do you guys think about Phantasm songs? 59. Phantasms are murderers who fake prophecies, Part 5, 601. If you really had a prophetic dream, post here. 134. Going to hear FES's prophecies online, Part 3, 769. There was a surprising number of hits, about 30 actually. Was it a popular topic on @chan these days? I gulped and looked at the threads one by one.
ファンタズム FES
Phantasm. FES? Most of these threads contain the terms phantasm or FES. I also saw the term New Gen a lot. There was something about prophetic lyrics and murders, too. I searched and found out that Phantasm was a 4-person goth punk band based in Shibuya. They were popular in the indie music scene, and their female vocalist used the stage name FES. I decided to see what that band had to do with seeing the future. The top thread was titled Prophecy/Future Sight, Phantasm General, New Gen 43. I decided to read it. I did not get to read that. Hold on. Can I scroll up? Oh, god damn it. Oh, well. You guys can pause and read that if you want to. Alright, Prophecy, Future Sight, Phantasm General, New Gen 43. Name anonymous prophet, and all of these are anonymous prophets. Okay. So, Mochitsuki, guys. What you need to do is get your ass to Sunday's concert. Experience every moment of FES's Black Mask. Black Mask. Otherwise, you'll get crucified yourself. I read the lyrics and I gotta say they didn't do it to me. They're so vague you can't even call them a prophecy. Please don't crucify me. Okay, thanks, lol. Future Sight. Lol, you guys are making shit up. She's a vocalist, not freaking Nostradamus. Just enjoy the music. I like FES's lyrics. They're so new gen. You guys are talking about FES and ignoring Rio, the composer, poor guy. FES 10, pant. Your lyrics taught me the meaning of life. You FES believers are weird. Good point. You know what I'd like, though? is to have FES call me a dirty pig in that cold, quiet voice of hers while she digs her boot heel into my ass and makes me feel so much pain my eyes pop out of my head. Some people are just way too comfortable. I want to get off while she spits in my face and then slits my throat with a knife and tells me I don't deserve life. I don't deserve to live. FES Tan is my wife. There's a special thread for you freaks. Also, FES is my wife. Don't bump this thread, shitface. What do you mean by new gen prophecy? Followers guided by the light of the moon, a path of illusions that leads to this place. The shouts soon turn to silence, feeling peace as you fall, two hands clasping in the wind. I'm anti-Phantasm, by the way. Their fans are scary, lol. It's like they're brainwashed or something. Okay. I'm gonna read the new ones. So, yeah, let's go with brainwashing. Forcefully altering a person's beliefs or ideology via violent methods. This violence can take forms both physical, imprisonment, threats, drugs, etc., and mental, making the person feel guilty, verbal violence. Brainwashing is a powerful method for changing one's personality than mind control. Alright, let's look at Yashi. What is that? Net slang for a guy or dude. The Japanese word for guy is yatsu, a word which sounds very similar to yashi. Wordplay of the sort was extremely popular in the mid-2000s net culture, and using yashi for yatsu was popular online. The original meaning for the word yashi is a traveling merchant that appears at festivals or roadside events. Black Mass, a ceremony held by Satan worshippers, sometimes called a sabbat. At Black Mass, everything is done with the opposite manner of a normal Catholic Mass. When the Mass begins, Satan himself appears in the form of a huge goat. The witches proceed to kiss the goat's buttocks, drink wine mixed with the blood of babies, read from dark grimoires, and indulge in acts of sexual depravity. One theory says that sexually repressed priests and theologians invented the concept as a delusion in order to persecute heretics. Look, on one hand, I've never seen. I doubt like that really exists a lot of the time. But on the other hand, having seen what's in the Epstein files, it wouldn't surprise me if some of that stuff happened during satanic rituals. So, anyways, believer, someone who believes in someone/something. Believers in the late 2000s Japanese internet culture referred to someone who's an hardcore fan of something, often a game or an anime character. Okay. Her fans are gonna murder you in your sleep, dumbass, lol. Don't try to share the lyrics, idiot. Read the room, dumbass, chew. The lyrics were... Well, you could interpret them as referring to a group dive, depending on how well you looked at it. And the lyrics had been published 2 months ago. In other words, they weren't written after the group dive. Does that mean they saw the future? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of who am I kidding? The game is leading in that direction, but you know, like reasonably, there was group suicides even before that. So, whatever. Wasn't it just a coincidence, or was Phantasm working with the demon girl too? I read more of the log and found that all 3 of the new gen cases had been prophesized by the lyrics. Atchan didn't have any lyrics for the pregnant man. So they only have lyrics for one of them. Okay. Atchan didn't have the lyrics for the pregnant man in the crucified case. All 3 of the new gen cases have been prophesied by the lyrics. Atchan didn't have lyrics for the pregnant man and crucified cases. Okay, so where did you get the other lyrics from? There seemed to be some kind of thing where you weren't supposed to upload them to the internet if you really wanted to know what they were. You had to go to a concert and buy the album. Either way, there were a number of discussions online trying to predict the outcome of the next new gen murder based on Phantasm's lyrics. Their album, published on an indie label, had been selling extremely well after the new gen instance started. Some observers in the media had noticed, and Phantasm now appeared sometimes in articles about the cult hit with the Shibuya youth. FBS was the one who wrote the lyrics. You pronounced it like the first half of Festival, supposedly. Oh, Fez. So, like, Persona 3, FES. Fez, okay. Supposedly. Her real name wasn't known. Maybe she was the demon girl. If she was, then that would explain how she was able to predict the murders in months in advance. She was the one who'd carried them out, after all. I did an image search, but couldn't find a picture of her face. All the photos from her concerts were taken with a crappy cell phone cameras. They were too blurry to get a good look at her.
くそ。
Damn it! I wiped the sweat from my brow with my t-shirt again. Frustration, fear, a desire to believe nothing, a desire to see nothing. All these feelings came together and made it hard to breathe. I was still panting. I needed to see FES's face. With trembling hands on the keyboard, I went to Phantasm's official site. It was a simple design, with a black background. The font was a blood red crimson, with a terrifying, ominous feel to it. The site itself had very little in the way of information, just a simple concert schedule and a discography. There were no profiles of the band members and no lyrics.
やっぱり犯人だけあってネットに顔写真が流出しないようにしてるのか。
Maybe she's not uploading her face because she's the killer? She was clever. A look at their schedule showed me that they seem to do concerts every 2 weeks. The next one
あさっ
was
て
the day after tomorrow? If I went, I would be able to see FES if FES was the demon girl, and what good would that do? I was going to turn her over to the police, beg her to leave me alone. Could I take a cross and try to exorcise her? Not a chance. I couldn't do any of those things. She was a demon. A creepy otaku like me couldn't beat her. And if I lost, I would die. My corpse would become another disgusting piece of art, and photos of it would be uploaded to a new gen aggregator site.
そんなのやだ。
No! No, but if I didn't go, I wouldn't know why it was in the image that Shogun had sent me. And maybe if FES wasn't working with the demon girl, I could ask for help.
だけどやっぱり無理だ。ライブなんて行けるわけがない。
But I can't. I can't go to a concert. I'd never been to one in my entire life. Especially in a concert hall that was cramped and dark and loud and filled with people. Just imagining it made me want to vomit. I didn't know what to do. The prickling on my neck was still there. It had gone from a tingling numbness to a burning pain. And when I looked behind me, of course, nobody was there.
もうやめてよ。
Stop it! I closed my eyes and waited for the gaze to go away. I refused to have the sensation following me for the rest of my life. Someday, it might get strong enough to actually kill me.
考えろ、匠。
Think, Takumi.
僕にできることを考えろ。
What can you do? I hid myself behind a lamppost and stared at a club called Gigantes. In the end, I'd spent the whole day thinking and worrying about it before finally deciding to go. Gigantes was in a distinctive red brick building near the Shibuya train tracks. Its exterior was lit up in a way that made it feel old, like something that would have been popular in the 70s or 80s. I had no idea there was still a place like this in Shibuya. It was just 5 minutes from the station, but there were barely any people around. Sometimes I could hear a train passing above. Vibrations from the loud noise would shake the lamppost I was hiding behind. Until a moment ago, there had been a lot of people out front wearing outfits that could be easily mistaken for cosplay. Well, maybe not a lot of them. It was surprising how relatively few of them they were. For all that talk on the internet about Phantasm, there were probably only 100 or so people here. They were all inside now. The concert had started. The sound didn't reach the outside, though, so it was still dead quiet. The nervous sensation in my heart that had just started yesterday had only gotten worse when I arrived here. It hurt so much to breathe that I was beginning to wonder if I had some kind of heart disease. Oh no, I got arrhythmia, now I wake up at a Yamaku Academy. Wait a second. No, the reason was much simpler than that. It was dark around here. The demon girl or her servants could be lurking anywhere. I was desperately scanning the area around me, looking for anyone who might be about to jump me. Being there made me feel as tense as being in the Wan's volcanic labyrinth in ESO. The Wan's volcanic labyrinth was full of overpowered enemies, and the area itself was filled with lava. The slightest touch of lava meant instant death. How many times had I died in that zone? Okay, well, I mean, it's an MMORPG, right? I think that sounds like... I think that sounds like bad game design, honestly. Oh, yeah, well, I mean... do they have, like, I don't know, platformer mechanics, or... I don't know, like... We don't know enough about it to say if it's good or bad game design, but I think having something instantly kill you for, like, lightly touching it is bad game design, I'm sorry. Especially, like, if you haven't touched something in a game before. Anyways. I wiped the sweat off my forehead with a hand towel and gulped. The door at the top of the stairs to Gigantes opened, and for a moment I could hear the sounds being violently pounded on. A boy came out the door. He ran down the stairs and over to me.
Yo, Taku. Matta ka?
Hey, Taku, did I keep you waiting? I was the one who invited him to this concert. I didn't know his cell number, so I'd been forced to go to school that day and talk to him. I didn't think I could have gone to Gigantes without him. And even if I had, if the demon girl was inside, it would be over the minute I opened the door. Damn. That's why I'd enlisted him as a scout. I felt like I was using him, and I did feel a little guilty. Not that I said anything to him about it, of course. Well, I mean, he's probably just wants to, like, have fun with guys. Come on. Come on, man. He probably just wants to have fun. You're not taking advantage of him. If he's like, oh no, I can't go, it's fine, just go yourself, man. I think it would be fine. You're not taking advantage of someone for inviting them over to do something. Yeah, even though Takumi is... To Takumi, this is a completely different thing, but to, Misumi. I almost forgot his name. But to Misumi, I imagine, like, it's another outing. So... yeah. The only ones I could ask were him and Nanami. I opted for the one who'd be less obnoxious, which meant Misumi. I would pay for his ticket. In other words, I'd be basically hiring him for 1,000 yen.
ほらよ。これ CD な。俺自分の分も買っちまったよ。
Here's your CD. I bought one for me, too. He handed me a copy of Phantasm's album. There were going to be a huge premium online, but I'd read on 8chan that you could buy one at a concert, so I decided to have Misumi get one for me. Now half my goal was accomplished, the other half
い
was...
やー、予想以上にいいな。ファンタズムって。
He enjoyed himself. Man, Phantasm was a lot better than I expected. He just left the concert hall and seemed a little excited.
あんまミーハーになりたくなかったんで聞こうとしなかったんだけどよ。今日ちょっと生で聞いただけでファンになっちまった。
I don't like just listening to what's popular, so I kind of ignored them, but after hearing them live, I'm a fan. The other thing I'd ask him to do was describe the band members for me. They'd all come out as soon as the concert began, so all he needed was take a quick look and report back to me. But I hadn't seen him for 5 whole minutes after the concert had started. It seemed like the reason for that was him deciding to listen to their first song.
特にボーカル。ありゃマジでいい女だぜ。
The girl doing the vocals especially, she was pretty hot.
女見る目あるな。
You got you got pretty good taste in women. Really, Misumi? Yeah, Misumi was only ever going to think about things with his little head. So much for not liking what's popular.
どんな人だった？
What was she like?
ああ、そっか。報告な。なんか探偵みてえで面白いな。そう思わねえ？
Alright, I'm supposed to tell you what you think. This is kind of fun, like being a detective, don't you think? He grinned and began to describe FES to me.
髪
Fez.
型はショートカットだった。
Her hair was cut short. Huh? That didn't match the demon girl at all. Did that mean that FES wasn't the demon girl then? No, wait. It was too soon to be sure. You should always cut your hair or add extensions if you wanted. She might have been in disguise when I'd run into her at the murder scene. Okay, tips list. Extensions. Hair extensions. A type of wig that lengthens a person's hair, primarily used for women for fashion purposes. Okay.
スタイルがすっげえ良くて、あと背が高かったな。ありゃ俺と同じぐらいはあるんじゃねえの？
She had a really nice figure. Oh, and she was tall. Probably about my height.
背が
Tall. About Misumi's height. Misumi's height wasn't much different from mine, so FES was about 170 centimeters tall. Pretty tall for a girl. Especially when I'd run into the demon girl. She hadn't seemed especially tall to me. My memories weren't really that clear, but she seemed to be shorter than I was. Another thing that didn't match.
他には
What else?
そうだな。アンニュイな雰囲気してたな。
She had the sense of Inui about her? I've never heard that word before.
クールってイメージかな。結構ボソボソと喋るタイプだった。
Her voice was kind of cold and quiet, sort of a whisper, you might say.
胸のサイズはまあまあ。
Her breasts were pretty big, I guess.
でも、ゴスパンの服は妙な色気があったぜ。ああいうのもありだな。断然あり。
Her goth punk outfit was pretty hot, though. I'd never really considered that sort of thing, but I like it. I like it a lot. It was no good. Just hearing someone else describe her wasn't going to be enough. I'd only gotten a quick glance at the demon girl anyway. I don't think I could have described her, even if you asked me to. Maybe this whole plan was a waste of time.
っていうかよ。そんなにフェスに興味あるなら、自分の目で見ればいいじゃねえか。ほら、行こうよ。
Actually, if you're that interested in FES, let's go take a look at her. Come on, let's go. Huh? Misumi pushed me up the stairs of Gigantes. I tried to resist, but he was stronger than me, and I couldn't escape.
ま
Wait,
見たいんだろ、フェスの顔を。素直になるって。
you want to see FES's face, right? Just admit it.
浮気ってのは男の差がだよな。たくも大人になったもんだぜ。
What the fuck, Misumi? Cheating is what makes you a real man. I'm glad to see you finally grown up, Taku. What are you talking about? What?
は
Huh?
この前一緒に帰ってたメガネの子のことは。
Okay,
今
okay.
夜だけは気にすんなって。俺も田中のことは忘れるからよ。
For tonight, forget about that girl with the glasses you were with earlier. I'll forget about Tanaka too. So Misumi is under the impression Yua and Takumi have a thing. Well, to be fair, they did leave school together and they like kept meeting up. So I guess, and he thinks cheating makes a man, a real man. What the hell, bro? What was he talking about? I tried to resist, but I realized it was too late. Were we already at the top of the stairs? It was only a single floor off the ground, but I struggled here and slipped. A fall would hurt bad. The thought made me stop struggling. When I stopped resisting, Misumi shoved me through the door and into the concert hall. When I went inside, my ears were assaulted with a wave of sound. I'd never experienced anything this loud. I could feel it shaking the bottom of my stomach, and the vibrations felt like they threatened to tear me apart. There wasn't any seats, everyone was standing. The audience rocked their bodies in time with the rhythm, and I could hear the cries of FB yes, FB yes, in time with the music. Their movements weren't as coordinated as the otoge you saw at Idol concert, but they were still very impressive. Okay, is that a name for the otakus that are like obsessed with idols? Like, anyways, the otoge, special calls or dance moves performed some fans at idol concerts or other otaku-oriented events. Some of these performances are extremely elaborate, and each of the movements is given a name. If you're ever lucky enough to see a row of fans doing an otoge in perfect harmony, it's a sight you'll never forget. Okay. The intensity was incredible. I felt like I was about to throw up from the heat of so many bodies. I was an otaku, but not an idol or voice actress otaku, so to be honest, I didn't like concerts like this. The one saving grace was that nobody was looking at me, but I couldn't deny I was terribly out of place here. There were so many people that I couldn't get a clear look at the stage. The most I could make out were the silhouettes of 4 people standing under the bright stage lights. As I stood there overwhelmed, Misumi handed me a plastic cup with some soda in it. He must have paid for my ticket. I'd have to pay him back later. And then the song ended. A wave of cheers and applause went up from the audience. Finally, everyone lowered their raised fist. I had a clear view of the stage. I could get a clear look at the short-haired girl up there. She definitely wasn't the demon girl.
今日はいつもより調子いいわ。
Is this the goth GF most people are talking about? Anyways, today I'm feeling better. Today I'm feeling better than most days.
声がクリアに聞こえる。
I can hear the voices clearly.
世界がとても澄んでいる。
The world is so still and silent. Her voice, picked up by the amplifier and coming through the speakers, was nothing like the demon girl's either. FES had, as Musumi said, had a sense of inui about him. I'm gonna have to look that up. It's been mentioned twice. I'm looking that up. Like, they really... Anyway. Boredom. Okay, so... I'm only getting the French word for boredom, so maybe that's it. So yeah. You learn something new every day, I guess. FES had, as Musume said, a sense of inui about her. She didn't seem boyish despite her short hair. She had a strange aura that was simultaneously cute and seductive, but also aloof. The accessories on her body reflected in the lights and gleamed silver, giving her a strange, unearthly look, like something from a fairy tale. I could understand why she was so popular on 8chan. You'd expect a singer like her to be loud and passionate, so I assumed, but FES was calm as she spoke into the mic. It was the complete opposite of the excitement of the crowd. Maybe that was just her personality. But the audience knew better than to just shout over her. There was silence as she spoke, and everyone listened. Ah, so they have concert etiquette, unlike modern-day concerts. Anyways.
呼吸突性の門が閉じているからかもしれない。
Maybe it's because the gate of Cocytus is closed. I may be wrong, but isn't Cocytus like one of the rings of hell or something? Like, was it Dante's Inferno? I think it was. It was something else. And it was Cocytus. Okay, it wasn't a ring, but it was one of the 2 rivers found at the entrance of the underworld in Greek mythology. Its name means the River of Wailing. The dead cross this river to enter the underworld. Okay, I got my things confused, so that's cool. Anyways. What did she say? Cocytus. What language was that?
世界の均衡は大いなる意志が生まれてから数千年間保たれていた。
Honestly, I think I like her. She's pretty cool. The planetary balance has been maintained for thousands of years, since the birth of the Great Will.
でも今それは崩れつつある。とても不安で。
But now it is falling apart, becoming unstable.
だから私は歌うわ。
That's why I sing.
君たちのカオスを受け入れてあげる。
I will take your chaos into myself. Oh, now I understood. She was speaking in character. It was a goth punk thing. Maybe she was trying to say stuff that sounded ominous, even if you didn't know what it meant. It would make her seem kind of mystical, and help her connect better with her fans. In fact, FES was holding something strange in her hand. In her left hand was a normal mic, but in her right was a strange mic stand that looked like some kind of sword. It had a strange form with flowing curves that felt alien and dangerous, and it looked so sharp that even touching it might threaten to sever a finger. It was huge, just as big as she was. Are we finally getting the swords from like the prologue and the intro? Are we finally getting that? Okay. The glass embedded in the stand glowed with a strange pale light. I wasn't sure if it was if it even was a mic stand, but it was the perfect prop to help define her character. I found myself strangely unable to take my eyes off it. FES raised the huge mic stand above her head. And with an underhand grip, she swung it in an arc in front of her. The pale light of the glass made a half circle in the air. It was really dangerous. What if it hit someone? Maybe it wasn't a mic stand, but a sword. And maybe, like, she would cut off the head of a member of the audience each night in order to offer up her still warm blood to the demon girl. That would make this whole concert a black mass led by witches. I began to shiver. Maybe it would be better to just leave now.
次は3曲目。
Next is our third song.
密教の首飾り。
The Esoteric Necklace. Another huge cheer went up from the audience. So, like... Okay, I'm trying to think. Is this like... Like, what type of metal? Like, is it... I'm guessing it's like something satanic, so I'm thinking... Probably... Alright, there's Black Sabbath. There's I don't know a lot about metal bands, but I'm thinking Black Sabbath. Does Metallica count? Darkness imprisoning me. And it was yeah, I don't know a lot about music. I don't really like look into genres or study it. I just listen to what I want to. So like I listen to like Metallica, Black Sabbath, Avenged Sevenfold. There's like a number of others. Like, I can never tell you which is metal and which is not. I'm sorry, I'm not that guy. Anyway, another huge cheer went up from the audience. The members of the band all began to move at once, and a flood of sound hit my ears again. It felt like it was going to destroy my eardrums. How did they all keep from going deaf? I looked to my side, and Misumi was having a great time, raising his fist to the rhythm along with the rest of the audience. The intro ended, and FES began to sing, and the lyrics made me freeze. I don't know Japanese, so I don't know what she's saying. This was a prophetic song that I'd seen on 8chan. It was a dark song without a glimmer of hope to be found in it. Maybe it was partially the lyrics too, but the melody felt almost religious. Do I need to like look up the lyrics of this song to see like foreshadowing or whatever? I'm just gonna continue. I'm not gonna do that. I might stumble into like some spoiler territory if I start looking stuff up about the game, so I'm not. As the song progressed, the crowd's cheers faded, and before long they were silent. So yeah, I'm guessing this is one of the weapons we saw in the intro, in the beginning of the game. This here. All of them seem to be listening intently. However, some of them even seem to be gazing at FES in a kind of ecstasy. There was certainly something in her voice that drew you to her. Even as I fought against my fear of the crowd and the urge to vomit, I was listening to make sure I heard her sing. Somehow, the temperature of the room seemed to drop to below freezing in an instant. The song ended. FES looked down, her body swaying from side to side, immersing herself in the last seconds of the song. Then she suddenly raised her head, and without any doubt or hesitation, looked right at me. You know what? I know I'm going to be cutting it off, but I think I'm going to quick save here. And, yeah, I think I'm going to take a break for a bit, and then I'm going to be back to it. So, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. It's been Dean the Autist. Goodbye.